Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this two-tone textured buttercream cake with a buttercream crown around it and with buttercream rosettes and other textures. And then I also added some silver elements with some edible butterflies. So let's get right to it. For this design, I'm using one of my demo cakes. These are kind of the cakes that I use just to show decorating techniques. Nobody's eating them. I just hold on to them. I scrape them down and then I reuse them for new designs. I store them in the freezer in between. So what I'm doing is I'm using American buttercream, and I just did a crumb coat and put it in the freezer. Now I'm adding some black, because this is two-tone. I love black and white together. I think that contrast is absolutely sophisticated and gorgeous. So I'm showing you a shortcut on how to get a darker color out of your deep colors without adding too much food coloring. I used my immersion blender. The heat from the blade running on that melts the butter just enough to bring out the depth in the color. Now I set that aside to firm up just a little bit because it makes it thinner and you want it to have your thicker consistency. So in the meantime, I'm showing you how I use my Dresden tool to mark a wavy pattern to this. I want it to have highs and lows so that anywhere you're looking at the cake, it has some dimension in the flow between the two colors of buttercream. Now I just went ahead and I piped the two colors at the same time onto the cake. And then I just scraped it all down because you don't have to have a real clean line in between the two colors since we're going to be covering that up with our piping. I have done other designs where you want to see the difference in, have it be nice and clean. And then in that kind of a case, I would go ahead and put it into your freezer. Once you pipe the buttercream on and you do this first scraping like I'm doing here, put it in your freezer and then go back for like 10 minutes. And then come back and scrape it, and you can get really clean lines between colors. I've done that in other videos. I've done polka dots. There's a couple different ways I've used it. But anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I wiped down the board and put it in the freezer to set. And I put it in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. And I have this board that I made myself. You can probably find some impression mats now on the market for this type of technique, but they didn't have them when I first made this board, and I went ahead and used it. It's the same idea. I just hot glued some popsicle sticks onto this, what do you call it? It's just 1/4-inch foam board, and I put some cornstarch on it so that it doesn't stick to the buttercream. It's crusted on the outside, but it's still soft underneath, and that's why you can go ahead and press a texture or a pattern onto buttercream at this stage. If you wait for it to firm up completely, longer than 10 minutes or so in the refrigerator, you're not going to be able to press this pattern, any pattern in. So you have to time it just right. And some of that black did stick onto the popsicle stick, so before I did my last round on the remaining part of the cake, I just wiped it off and cleaned it real well. Now, it wasn't tall enough to get to the very top. I have this rough edge on the buttercream. I wanted it to have that rougher edge. You don't have to. You can clean up that top edge if you want to. But since it wasn't tall enough, I just took one of the popsicle sticks and I'm just pressing it into the top, kind of just lining it up with the impression lines underneath of it and pressing it into the top so that you have that all the way around the top edge. And then I put it back into the refrigerator to firm up a little bit more for about 20 minutes. And then I'm bringing it out and I'm using all these different tips. I have a 1M. I have 2 of the medium sized, I can't remember exactly which size, open star tip. And then I think it's number 3 round tip. And then 2 leaf tips for each color. And I pointed out that there's couplers on these round tips, because I can just replace them with the leaf tip once I am done with the round tip. So you're just doing some rosettes sporadically around this. You can't really see the highs and the lows of the buttercream as much as I was hoping, but I'm using the rosettes to kind of emphasize the high points and the low points. So to give that wave pattern. Now I'm going in with the star tip. With each color, my idea was to, use the black as your kind of grounding color in the middle and the white as an accent. But when I start doing the piping with the round tip, you'll see right here, you'll see that I brought the black up into the white. And I'm just doing kind of like curved, arched lines, but doing them just with the round tip. Kind of, I don't know how to explain it. To extend the pattern or the color palette without making it too solid of a color like with your other tips. It just kind of gives it kind of that airy, kind of fade out look to it. And then I did the same thing with the white on the bottom with the round tip. Now, if I run out of things to explain to you here, I might insert some music, but I think you get the idea. And I do go back in with the leaf tip just to add another element and texture. I did both with the black and the white with the leaf tip. Now, this is something I added. You don't have to do this if you do choose to try this design, but I always love metallic. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I love metallic. And I thought silver would look really good with the black and the white on this design. So I just added some some Everclear to luster dust, some silver luster dust, and I'm using my paintbrush just to touch the edges. And I noticed this angle is a little bit fuzzy. It was focusing on my hands rather than what I was doing for some reason, but I did on the outside edges of the wings of the wafer paper butterflies, I added some silver to those as well to kind of add the silver in another spot. And here's another spot where I added some more silver is with these dragées that I got at Michael's craft store, I believe. I pulled out the white and the black ones, and they have kind of like a silver luster dust shimmer to them. So that's another place where I added some of that silver. And these butterflies I purchased on Amazon. I just searched on Amazon black and white edible butterflies. And this is what it came up with. And I was hoping for them to be a little bit more contrast of the black and the white. They're a little more faded, but that's okay. I think it was really pretty. Still glad that I purchased them. They were a good purchase. And I just kind of gently fold the middle and attach them with some buttercream. And this is our final design, guys. I am so happy to finally be able to do a design that I kind of came up with. This is a Mary design, not something that was for an order. So more of these to come, as I explained in my previous video. But just have a little patience and grace with me, and I hope you like this one, and we'll catch you in the next one.